All right, we're talking about the Xfinity series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's myself, Rich, and Coop back on the Fast Cars, Fast Money podcast. We're talking about race one of round one of the Xfinity series playoffs. The Xfinity series is racing Saturday night under the lights. It's a 1.5 mile intermediate track, low tire wear track. So you can kind of keep that in mind if you're looking at lap data or, previous races this year. Just keep in mind it's a 1.5 mile track. And we actually did race at Las Vegas earlier in the year too, but I think that was all the way back in March. So things have changed a little bit since then, but we can kind of keep that in mind for reference points on who potentially may or may not be good. But let's get to the driver by driver breakdown, the picks. We will start with you, Coop. If you're looking at the expensive guys in the 10K range this weekend, who are you going after?
Yeah, it's Gibbs and Cindric again this week. They're just consistently ahead of the pack, and they've really proven that they can not only dominate races but win races. And I actually am a little surprised there's a discount on Cindric there, being cheaper than Josh Berry and Noah Gragson. I'd expect him to be up there with the pricing of Ty Gibbs. So I actually really like the price point on Cindric this week. And I think if you're going to pivot off those guys, Gragson is a good play. And if you're going super GPP and you want to get a dominator that isn't Cindric or Gibbs, I would go Allgaier, and I'll even sneak down into the next range there and say Allmendinger is a fine play with Allgaier. I'm pretty equal on those two.
Yeah, in the top range for me, I agree. Gibbs and Cindric are the best plays, and it seems like we've been saying that just about every week. But they've shown week in and week out that they've been the best cars on the track. I mean, Allgaier's had some good races, and Allmendinger's had some good races, but just seems like every week Gibbs and Cindric are up in the top five or fighting for the lead. So those would definitely be my two favorite plays there. Noah Gragson, he's actually been racing pretty well the last month or so. Starting ninth, he's definitely more GPP, but he could sneak up there and get some dominator points as well. And he offers some a little bit more place differential points than Gibbs does.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of the same comments you guys just made. I mean, Ty Gibbs pricing overall, I think is pretty soft this weekend. So it's really easy to really play whoever you want. You're not really forced to go in a certain direction. So I like Ty Gibbs a lot. JGR has been really fast at these 1.5 mile tracks. Gibbs disappointed a little people, some people last week at Bristol, not, dominating in the sense that we potentially thought he might. So maybe that lowers his ownership a little bit this weekend. But I think the top play would be Austin Cindric. Starts on the pole. He has the best, position to lead early, rack up those dominator points. He's in a fast car. He gets to pick what pit stall he's in too. So there's just a lot of, encouraging things around Cindric. So I think you start with Cindric and then kind of build from there. And for me, it's really easy to grab another 10K driver. I think Ty Gibbs is that guy. But another guy that I'm pretty high on in the 9K range would be Daniel Hamrick. Now, I think I don't know how many races in a row it's been that Hamrick has started and hasn't won a race. So that's kind of the narrative. But you don't need him to win to pay, to work out for you in DFS. Hamrick is a guy who consistently finds his way to the front of the field. Their pit crew is really fast, and at these 1.5 mile tracks, like usually restarts and pit road is a good way to advance your position. Hamrick's good on the restarts. He's good on pit road. So if he's able to get out front at some point in the race or even just pick up fast laps, I think the price tag at $9,600 is going to be a good play for you. And if you're fading Cindric, I think our Allmendinger has probably the best position to lead early. I just feel more confident in Cindric. So I think you start with Cindric and then kind of build around from there, whether it's, getting those 10K drivers or even potentially hammering some of these 9K drivers. But what about you, Rich? Is there anyone else outside of Hamrick in the 9K range that you have a good feeling about?
I do agree with you. I really like Hamrick in this range. Sam Mayer is all right in the 8 car. He's starting kind of high up this week, but he's been running pretty decently in this car, in the 8 car. I mean, everybody in the 8 car's running well, aside from Dale Earnhardt Jr., which was kind of sad. But Sam Mayer, he can hang around that 11th place spot and probably gain a few spots as well, pay off the price tag. But in this range, it's either Hamrick or Allmendinger for me. And Allmendinger is definitely like only if you're fading Cindric or if you think both of those guys are going to dominate the race. But I highly doubt that you're going to see the guys starting 1-2 dominate the race together unless we're at a short track.
I agree with everything you guys said. I'm a little lukewarm on this range. And the reason for that is because if we go down into the 8K range, I'm pretty excited about Ty Dillon and Brett Moffitt. I think they're extremely safe plays to pair with whichever dominators you go with. Both should move forward, and both can turn in a pretty good finish. And I think at the price point with 8K, it makes it pretty easy to slot in one of them or two of them with your dominator choices. And those two, I'm really excited about that this week. So those are the two that I'm targeting out of this range. And because I like them so much, I'm probably not playing anybody else in the range. What are your thoughts, Rich?
I actually really like Jeb Burton in this range. He's starting farther back this week than we normally see him. He offers a good amount of place differential, and he's been running, top 7, top 8 almost every single week. So he offers a lot of finishing potential and a few place differential points. And at $8,100, he should easily pay off that price tag. But I agree with you. I think Ty Dillon and Brett Moffitt are probably the two safer plays in this range just because of their starting spots and the cars they're in and the place differential that they offer.
Yeah, I would say Ty Dillon and Brett Moffitt are probably, high interest for us in any format, whether you're playing cash or, trying to take down a GPP tournament. I think Jeb Burton is going to be more GPP, but the reason I like Jeb Burton is a lot of things that Rich just mentioned. And I mean, it's probably unlikely, but he does have the potential to get out front and lead laps. He does have the potential to pick up fast laps. I don't think the equipment that Ty Dillon or Brett Moffitt's in can earn you any dominator points, and I don't really expect Burton to earn a ton, but that potential is there. And if you're able to get another player, another driver in your lineup that has dominator upside, I think that is always a good thing. And there's some other good place differential plays even lower on the slate, like the 7K range. So look at JJ Yaley, BJ McLeod, Landon Castle. Like these are all cheaper drivers than Dillon and Moffitt that can give you some good place differential. They don't really necessarily have the same upside and finishing potential that a Dillon and a Moffitt offer. But like Coop was saying, these are relatively safer plays, and their equipment is decent. I mean, it's good enough for where they're starting and what they have to do in order to pay off and get kind of 10 plus, 15 plus place differential points, especially if there's wrecks, which we usually see a lot of wrecks in the trucks and Xfinity series. If they can avoid those and just, keep advancing their position, I think rostering a Yaley and McLeod or Castle is a relatively safe option and a smart option. I don't know. Is there anyone else, Coop, in the 7K range that you like?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head with those three guys. They're pretty much the knockoff Ty Dillon and Brett Moffitt on the slate, and it's reflected in the price. So if you want to plug in a little extra dominator or you just get stuck in that range, they're all fine plays. Nothing wrong with any of them. I do also kind of like Sieg this week. He's starting a little further back than he typically does, and he also can offer some place differential while having a better finishing potential than those other three. So I don't mind going there. Rich, anybody else?
No, in this range, JJ Yaley is definitely my favorite. But Brandon Brown starting 16th. We've seen him run well all year at any style of racetrack. So I would not be surprised to see him run up inside the top 12 this week as well. But he's definitely more of a GPP play. But in the next range, the two guys that we're really looking at are Carson Ware and Bailey Curry. Carson Ware is in the Jimmy Means car this week. Normally that car has been horrible every single week it comes to the track. But last week we actually saw it had some pretty good speed. And with Carson in it, we're thinking it's going to be a Rick Ware Racing prepared car. So it should be not like top tier, but he should be able to move up from the 35th starting spot and probably inside the top, 26, 25-ish. And be able to pay off that price tag. And then Bailey Curry, starting 36th. It's more of an attrition play. He's a pretty good driver. The car's just not all that. He should be able to move up inside of the top 30, top 25 as well.
Yeah, I like Bailey Curry a lot. For one, I think he's motivated to finally just get out of the Mike Harmon racing 74 car that always seems to have mechanical issues and put Curry behind the wall, 15 laps into the race. Not that this JD Motorsports car is, that much better, but the chances of it having a mechanical issue are much slimmer than the 74 car. And he starts really deep in the field that can't really hurt your line. And like Rich was saying, the 52 car kind of took us by surprise. But if you look a little bit deeper into it, Carson Ware is a Rick Ware driver. This team needs points if they want, a decent payout at the end of the season. So I expect this car to be prepared very similar to like the equipment that JJ Yaley is going to be in, or, the BJ McLeod 99. Like it's a good car, and you get a nice price discount from, Yaley and McLeod, who are up in the 7K range. So I don't mind Carson Ware. Maybe you get him at some lower ownership. And then from there, we can kind of talk about the punt range too, Coop, unless there's anyone else you want to talk about the 6K range.
Only other thing I'd add to the 6K range is I might throw a GPP dart with Josh Williams. I don't think he'll move backwards. He might pick up a couple spots, and if he picks up several spots and gets inside the top 15 at that price tag, there is a little bit there, and he's a relatively safe play because he's consistent. He shouldn't move backwards. And Tommy Joe Martins is kind of in that category too, but I prefer Williams because he's just been consistently slightly better. Moving down into the punt range, though, there's a couple guys down here I don't mind. I actually really like Jaskell. I think for $5,000, he really allows you to fit in the dominators and the folks that you're thinking are going to lead the laps in the race. And there's a lot of these guys down here that I wouldn't mind using either to get a little different. I think Buford, I think Starr are two drivers that you could target. Buford, I think, has better finishing potential, but Starr has shown that he can sneak into the top 25 from time to time too. So both of those I also like.
I mean, down here in the punt range, Blaine Perkins, I would say, is definitely a GPP play. He's in the 23R Motorsports car, which we've seen other drivers in this car have some good runs in it, but we haven't really seen Blaine have any great runs so far this year anytime he's gotten in the car. So, I mean, the car's got top 15 upside, but I would probably temper that to maybe, top 20, 18th. And at the price that might be able to be enough, but I would probably look at going to Dylan Lupton in the Sam Hunt 26 car, or dropping down to Matt Jaskell in the punt range.
Yeah, I like Lupton equipment wise, and he's running the truck series race. So with COVID, there's no practice and qualifying. You're just unloading and going. So maybe him racing in that truck series race will give him a slight advantage. I don't know how much of it would really be, but anytime you can get laps on the track you're racing in, it definitely can't hurt you. And his equipment is good enough to have a better finishing potential than a lot of the other guys who are priced around him. But yeah, I like Matt Jaskell a lot this week. If you look on Twitter, I mean, he has a sponsor. The team is talking about him. There's a lot of just marketing buzz around this team and how they're going to run. So usually MBM only brings one, kind of well-prepared car. You just got to figure out which one it is. But usually if you look on Twitter, it's a good kind of indicator of who that might be. So that's going to do it for the Xfinity series at Las Vegas. As always, we'll post this spreadsheet to Twitter. It's at FastCarsFM. Any comments or questions, you can drop them down in the YouTube comments below or send us a message over on Twitter. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe. Otherwise, if you want to show your support, just liking the video, interacting with us is a good way to show your support. But any other final comments, guys, before we head out?
It's Noah Gragson's home track. That's all I got to say.
Oh.
Good luck, everybody.
Coop, got anything for us, Coop?
Nope. Let's do it. Let's have a good racing weekend.
All right, guys. We will catch you next weekend.